And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. This is Group Therapy. It's our time of the week where we get to sit down, all three of us editors here at the Livingston Parish News, to talk about what's going on here in Livingston Parish. I am joined by my fellow cohorts. There it is. It isn't even that early.
It's almost lunchtime.
I know. I shouldn't be having problems like that, but here we are. So we are going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start on the viewer's right.
Hey, this is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And on the left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm the sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
And boy, they have gotten really good at who's on the viewer's right and who is on the viewer's left.
Have to think about it sometimes.
Yeah. So first and foremost, do want to remind folks my little 20 seconds of this show. Did have a chance to sit down and speak with Buddy Mincy Jr., state representative. Kind of gave a 32,000-foot his perspective on the legislative session in 2021, as well as a wrap-up on his bills. We did a podcast on that. There's also a story in Thursday's newspaper, so please check that out. So first and foremost, with this show, we're going to start with Mr. David Gray because there was a rain out in Walker. They went ahead and called their 4th of July off. But two other places went forward with it. That would be Lachine and Denham Springs, as well as the town of Livingston. And I believe you got a chance to go by both places, correct?
Yes, that was a pretty busy day until, well, it was busy until then it started really raining. So it kind of stopped it short for me because, don't want to get that expensive camera equipment all wet. But no, it was a good time. Like you said, Denham Lachine Brewing Company, they're, a new business in the downtown Antique Village, and they wanted to do a 4th of July thing this year. And Lachine, their big thing is Lachine means the dog. So that's, what they're, kind of, they associate themselves as, dog lovers. So they wanted to turn their Independence Day party into also a benefit for the Denham Springs Animal Shelter. So there was a Dunkin' booth and then a hot dog eating contest, and proceeds from both those things went to the animal shelter. And they raised, I think they put it up yesterday. It was around $800, $900, something like that. So yeah, I mean, a nice chunk for the animal shelter because every dollar counts for those organizations. So they had that, and then in town of Livingston, they were trying to do the new mayor there, JT Taylor. He wanted to kind of start a new thing, so they moved it. Normally their 4th of July celebration is at Circle Drive Park, which is right across from Town Hall. They moved it to I forget the name of the fields, Sartwell Memorial Fields. Correct. The baseball field is right next to Dole Elementary, where the high school baseball and softball teams play. So they moved the celebration there, and their big plan was to have a big kickball tournament, and they had a bunch of teams register for it. It was going to be something that went on for a few hours that day, and then after each team played one game, it just rained out. So I got there because I was trying to time it up to where I could go to both, and I got there right after the first games had ended, and it was storming. So they kind of stopped that, but there was a bunch of they decided to. They had a bunch of water balloons already ready, so they still found a way to have fun in the rain. Even though, like I said, the big draw of that event was going to be the kickball tournament. They had to kind of stop that, but they were still able to do their fireworks. So I mean, they had a good time there. And like I said, Lachine, they had that hot dog eating contest. There's probably a couple hundred people that were watching police officers and firefighters kind of go at it for 10 long minutes, which. Yeah, I was getting kind of sick looking at the photos and editing those photos the day after. It was and I don't like hot dogs, so that was pretty gross. But one guy
don't like hot dogs.
No, I do not. Especially those kind of hot dogs where it is no condiments, it is just the meat in the bun, and I guess with a dip of water, because that's pretty much the only way you could guzzle them down so fast. But one guy ate 11 hot dogs in 10 minutes, so that just kind of shows you how gross that was. And the firefighters won. They had 31 among the 4 of them, and the police officer had 25. So it was, like I said, it was really gross, but really fun. Now, that was my weekend. How about y'all's?
Definitely no Joey Chestnut, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. One of them gave himself that nickname because they all got to choose funny nicknames. When they were being introduced, and one of them chose Joey Chestnut, and he was hoping to get to that 76 world record, but that was not happening there. So
no, and Joey, I believe, broke his own record, and what's very interesting about that is that a lot of people like to talk about the greatest of all time or the GOATs in sports, if you want to talk about consecutive championships, Joey Chestnut is untouched.
Yes.
It's not even close.
Seems
So-
like he tops the record every year too.
You wonder what that training regimen is like.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports, jumping over to Mr. Rob DeArmond here, we have had quite a coaching carousel this summer. And yet again, we have some sweeping and breaking news coming in as we're sitting down to do the podcast. So we took a break for a little bit before we came in here. Tell us what's going on at Holden.
I don't know what the deal is with Wednesday morning and coaching changes, but it seems like we've been doing this, for probably a month, 2 months, something like that, with coaching changes and moves and things like that. But we're sitting in the staff meeting, and Coach Bowers, Lindsey Bowers at Holding Post, that she's leaving. She's going to Texas. Her wife Lana, who's was an assistant at Denham Springs with their program, is from Texas, so they're moving. Lana got a job in Texas, so they're moving to Texas. Just found out this morning. She was able to go talk to the team, and she said it's kind of a whirlwind type deal where you start talking about it, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is really happening.
Right, the pieces just start falling into place.
Everything just starts to fall into place. She says she's filling out an application right now, and they're kind of taking a leap of faith and going with it. So it's we started talking, and Lindsay's been here as long as I have, so it's kind of they've set the bar, so to speak. You got state championships, and if not for COVID, could have been another one, but it's 4 out of the last 5 years, and she's like, it's pretty. When you look back and you realize that's what you've done. She was an assistant coach on the first one, which they won under Coach Knight, and they've just kind of rolled over and been able to sustain that. And she said she'll still be paying attention from a distance, and you can't. She's like, those are the kids, and you got to keep following them. But she said she let them know this morning that she was leaving. So she decided. She said we were supposed to do conditioning, but we decided not to. So
gave him a break.
Gave him a break on that one.
So sort of a bittersweet end of an era, kind of then, and especially with the fact that you kind of been there with her.
Yeah,
going through all
I had to sit and stop for a second, and I said, when did you get here? And she said the 2016-2017 school year, and I came on in the spring of 2017, which is, I think it was right in time for baseball and softball season. So that was one of those things where it's like
we've been here together,
kind of lockstep,
Right.
So.
Sticking with softball, a former, I believe she was a Denham Springs standout.
Correct.
Had quite a year in her collegiate career. A lot of rhyming there. Sorry about that, folks who are listening. But an absolute, pretty much a solid performance. I mean, one of those things where it's about as good as you would ever hope it would be. In that she was her conference MVP, correct?
Right.
So walk us through all that.
So I got to talk to Bailey Hughes. It was and I don't think talking to Bailey, her senior year was my first year, so I said I may have seen you once or twice, but we kind of got to catch up, and it's kind of the way things kind of unfolded for her. She started her career at Nichols, and she starts off hitting the ball really well, and then. She said that the stadium was undergoing renovations, and all of a sudden we go to home games and we had people there, and it was something like got people, and I got nervous, and so that the hitting kind of dissipated.
Sure.
So going into that sophomore year, she talked to the coach, and I've talked about this in talking to other athletes. It's finding that role on the team, and they said you're going to be our courtesy runner, designated runner. You're going to steal bases, get on score runs and things like that. Which she readily accepted that role and kind of flourished in that as a sophomore. And then going into her junior year, it wasn't so much a softball thing; it was an academic thing. She transferred to LSU Alexandria and moved over there, and it for academic reasons. And so again, it was kind of like you're trying to find your role, trying to find things to do, and then COVID kind of hits.
Right.
Slows everything down. So she said that the thing there, I said, how weird was it there where you're probably in the meat of your conference schedule at a point when it shuts down? And she's like, came back close to home, got a job, started working, and that money helped pay for some classes in school. So she was able to do that, and then this year she just kind of you don't want to say comes out of nowhere, but she just puts together just a stellar season. And she said gave a lot of credit to her teammates and everything for kind of sticking with her and staying with it and everything. And I'm just trying to figure out, trying to look at numbers here so I can get you guys some of these numbers. But I know she got caught on one stolen base, and that was the one that kind of stood out. She said, "I know what happened. I know how I got caught. I know how it wasn't the ones that she stole. It was the one she got caught on."
Right.
That's the one that kind of sticks out. But and they had to deal with some adversity too with injuries. At one point, there was 11 people on the team because of injuries.
Just enough to play.
Yes. And they go into and it was one of those things where it was one of the way the subs work out. If they would have had one more injury, she said they would have gone into the field with 8 players on the field.
Yikes!
The way they had the sub set up. So it's and they get into the. They get to share the conference title. They get into the tournament. They're hosting it, and they went another thing where the numbers weren't a lot of numbers because of some players in COVID quarantine or whatever, and they wind up losing 2 games, and they were done. But for her, she's got a chance to she had a chance to come back and play, but she got a job offer at Ochsner in Baton Rouge, so she is going to enter the workforce. I talked to her last week, so I think it's going to be next week. She's gonna go to work.
Oh wow, okay.
Got a job.
So graduated and also had a big final season. I guess you can say.
And that's basically what she said. It's just one of those things where because I asked her, hey, you could come back, and she said no. I just felt like with this team that we had, the group that we had, and the way that I finished the season, this was a heck of a way to go out. So
right.
That's basically what it was for her.
Okay. So thank you, sir.
Sure.
Of course, we're going to be trying to play catch up on some signings and getting in touch with some other folks that are playing collegiate ball, trying to get in touch with them as we sort of move through the summer. This is kind of this is really slow time. Y'all don't have, as you noticed, we're recording this a little later. There's no 7-on-7. I believe basketball's wrapped up. And mostly just travel ball going on at the moment. So getting hot here in July. So David, moving back over to you and the news portion of group therapy. As always, we have Perkins Watch, which is a continual update as we are supposedly getting closer to a trial date, which should be next week, but the most recent update is they're going to look for another postponement. So tell us about that.
Yes, Jarrett Ambo, who was representing Dennis Perkins, the former sheriff's lieutenant, he has to hire court this week, First Circuit Court of Appeals, to postpone the trial. If you remember, a couple weeks ago during the last hearing, Judge Erica Sledge agreed to sever the defendants, meaning that Dennis and Cynthia Perkins would be tried separately. But she also denied his request to have the trial postponed. Jared Ambo he's been saying that he is one of the attorneys for another case, a first-degree murder trial that's going on that starts the same day, July 12th, that Dennis Perkins' trial is supposed to start. He's saying he's one of the counsel, that he's the only one experienced enough to, sort of going over the forensic side of the evidence in the trial, and so that has been his claim. Prosecutors don't agree. They've been saying that this trial date has been set in stone for a year, but so there's a lot of back and forth going on right now. But as of right now, there has been no update as of noon, a little after noon on Wednesday, July 7th. So we'll find the trial. Dennis Perkins' trial is supposed to start July 12th, so we'll find out hopefully in the next couple of days whether or not that it will or if it's going to be postponed. But it's just kind of out of everyone's hands right now. Just depends on what the judge decides.
So, that's going to be an ongoing process, I'm sure, for a while, especially since they were allowed them to be severed and to be tried separately. So you will be on top of that, I'm sure. Also on the list, I believe, did it make it into? Did we talk about the fields last week? Did it make?
No, we did not. But we could talk about this week. Yeah, I mean, just the baseball field.
Yeah.
Well, last week me and Rob went to a. It wasn't really a ceremony or anything. It's kind of got rained out. That's the theme of anything special that's supposed to be going on. It's just gonna rain. But there was elected officials and school leaders. They announced that the state would be funding some new lights that are going to be going up at the Holden and Maurepas baseball and softball fields. Those are the only two high schools in the parish that still do not have lights, so they have to play all of their games during the day. So, I mean, it really, they're not able to have those home crowds that you would see, at some of your other schools that can have lights, and, have their teams play at night and have parents be able to come after work and that sort of thing. So, Clay Scheck-Snyder, he was there. Representative Buddy Mincy was there. So as well as Superintendent Joe Murphy and his assistant superintendents, and then you had coaches and principals from both schools. But yeah, I mean it was just something that was needed to be done in the parish. It was there was a surplus in the state's operational budget, and so that's where they're able to get some of these funds from. And Mr. Murphy said it would be probably around $300,000 per school to install lights there, and they're hoping to have them up for the next baseball season, which starts in January 2022. But they have to go through all their process now, and that's actually one of the agenda items this week is to get that process rolling. They have to name a professional of record, advertise for bids, have all the bids come in and choose the right one. And so it's a bunch of stuff. But yeah, they're hoping that it will be done in time for the next baseball season, and it doesn't come out of the school district's budget, which is the big winner. Big winning position there. Whatever I was trying to say.
And those schools have never had a chance to play at night, have they?
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, you always got to play early.
It's one of those
they play
things,
somewhere else.
It's one of those things where, in talking to the coaches, Coach Greg Watt's going to be one of those things where they're hopefully they can get the bigger crowds. People can get off work a little later and they maybe come out and watch them. And he kind of jokingly said that could have, he's when he's doing work on the field, the sun goes down, he goes home. So he said it might jokingly said it might lead to a divorce for him because the lights are going to be on. He can hang out there as long as he wants. So sure. But for him, he said this has been 30 years in the making, and he was really proud, really happy. And for when I talked to Miss Roundtree, Chris Roundtree, the principal at Holden, she kind of said that maybe those lights could be maybe a centerpiece to where they start, the lights come out, and then maybe they start adding on making some other additions to the fields out there at Holden as well.
Sure. So we'll be looking forward to that. As David said, that's it's a process. The bid process for government takes a while, but we'll be looking forward to maybe them getting that done by the spring season. Last but certainly not least, a bit of an update on the Baglio situation, the Elvis Presley impersonator. So would you give us that update, Mr. Gray?
Yes. His stepson Trey. I always mess up this last name.
Pygott.
There you go. Thank you. He was formally indicted by a grand jury of second-degree murder. So that's just kind of the latest on that. If y'all remember, Jason Baglio was a Elvis Presley impersonator. He performed all across South Louisiana. I did a feature on him a few years ago because he had a really special connection at the Livingston Council on Aging site in Denham Springs, and he also became the head chef there. They had opened up a kitchen, and he became the head chef. He got a lot of new equipment in there, and then that happened a few weeks after they opened. I mean, maybe 2 weeks after they had a nice ribbon cutting ceremony for the new kitchen. So that is as you said, that's the latest on that. So we'll keep you updated with other things that come out from that.
And I said last but certainly not least, but I was wrong because there is one story I missed. It's a Mr. David Gray story. There is federal dollars coming down through the state for COVID recovery, I guess you can call it. And they're going to individual municipalities, and it depends on population. That story will be on Thursday's paper. Mr. Gray, will you give us a breakdown, please?
I mean, basically, the breakdown is there's 8 municipalities or areas in Livingston Parish, I believe. I think it was 8 total that are going to receive $8.4 million out of the state's $315 million. And these didn't. This $315 million was not directed toward any of the bigger cities. You know, your New Orleans, Baton Rouge, those sort of cities. This is more of your smaller cities getting those funds, and just to help with COVID relief. So, I mean, the biggest one was obviously Denham Springs. That was technically the only city that was listed. They had Walker listed as a town,
which is incorrect, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't get that, but you know, there you go. But Denham Springs is getting $3.6 million. Then you have Walker that's getting the second most, $2.3 million, and then I believe Springfield might have had the lowest amount with $194,000. And then you have your other village, French Settlement, Killian, Livingston, the town of Livingston, Port Vincent. Those are in Albany, so that's kind of rounds out the areas that are supposed to be getting some federal dollars.
So we will be keeping an eye on that. I mean, as with federal or government bidding, getting money from the federal government takes a while as well.
And it's going to be coming in 2 separate allocations, one in 2022 and then one in 2023, well, or possibly later, as they say, because, like you said, it is government money, so it takes a while to get it in.
Right. So that'll round out the show for today. Appreciate you two gentlemen taking the time to sit down and give us an update about what's going on in Livingston Parish. We're going to do a little introduction here, and we're going to start with on the left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
And on the right.
And this is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us for the Livingston Parish News weekly show. This is Group Therapy, a time where the three of us get to sit down, talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish. Please remember that the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We have a podcast page as well. Anytime you hear me talking about some of those other podcasts I'm doing, you can find them there. They are free. Check them out. Again, appreciate you guys joining us and listening. Appreciate these two fellas sitting down and giving us their time, and we will see you next time.